Hello YouTube, welcome to Ambro's Landscaping YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys why Echo backpack blowers are the best on the market. No they're not. Stihl is the best on the market.
No they're not.
Yes they are. They're way more powerful.
Yeah, well mine's quieter and I got it for free.
So what? I paid for mine, so why? Who cares? I do. Echo is the best. No it's not. Stihl is. Yes it is. No it's not. 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 No it's not. I win. There's never a redneck blower in these videos. Alright guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed the short little clip in the beginning of the video. Thought we'd do something different compared to what we usually do. Hopefully it made you guys laugh. If not, hopefully you guys didn't unsubscribe from it. So in today's video, we are doing the Stihl BR-600 backpack blower versus the Echo PB-770T. As probably a lot of my subscribers know, the Echo 770 was actually sent to us from Echo. So this video is strictly our opinion on both things. This is not for Echo, so we're not siding with the Echo, and we're not siding with the Stihl. We've been using the BR-600 for I think honestly the past 4 years. The first one I bought 4 years ago for my business, I actually still have, and it runs really well. So I have a lot of experience and a lot of hours behind the BR-600s. Where the Echo 770, we've been putting quite a few hours on it since, of course, in the beginning of this year, since we've been taking it to every single job with us. So we're going to do like the pros and cons list for each backpack blower, and we're going to try to cover everything. If we didn't cover everything, please let us know in the comments below. So let's go ahead and get started with the pros. Alright guys, before we get started, I just want to let you know that all the specs for both blowers are going to be in the description box down below, so be sure to click that for more details on each blower. We're also going to be putting some links in the websites for the Stihl and for the Echo, so if you guys want to watch more videos or get a little bit more information for both of those, you can be sure to click that. And of course, before I get any comments on the Red Max thing, that was just a joke. I've never used a Red Max. I think we finally got a dealer here in town, so of course we can't do a review on it since we don't have one. So if Red Max is watching, send us a blower and we'll get you on here too. So always having fun with the Red Max guys. So nothing against it, just having fun. Alright guys, so first on the list for the Stihl BR-600 Pros is power. Now this is one thing I noticed that Stihl has definitely over the Echo, is how much more power they have. According to the specs on their website, the Stihl has 64.8 cc engine, where the Echo only has a 63.3 cc engine. So just a little bit there, but for some reason I still actually notice it. I think a little bit has to do with the tip of the tubing that comes with the Stihl, because it goes more of a point, where Echo is more kind of open. So I feel like that could possibly be the reason why it seems like there's more blowing power. Like I said, all the specs are down below, so feel free to take a look at those. But definitely one thing I've noticed is that Stihl does have way more power than the Echo. When it comes to wet weather, and when we're mowing where the grass is very damp and it's on the ground, I always grab the Stihl BR-600 just because it has that extra power and it doesn't take as much time. Now the Echo will still get the job done, but I still feel, like I said, that the Stihl has a little bit more power over the Echo. So we're gonna have to reward power point to Stihl. Alright, so next on the list is the comfort of the straps and padding. Now, I would honestly have to say that both Echo and Stihl both have really good padding on both of their blowers, and honestly, I don't really tell too much of a difference. They're actually pretty good. When filling them, it feels like the Echo actually has just a little bit more padding, but it does need that, and we're going to talk about this later because of the weight difference. But I do feel like both blowers have just amazing padding, and they're very comfortable on my back, and I don't really notice, honestly, too much of a difference. So we're going to reward the point to both blowers for comfort. All right, so next on the list is comfortable handle. Now we're talking about the top handle on top where you grab it. In the Echo PB-770 review that we did for Echo, in the video we actually talked about how the top handle is actually very uncomfortable. We actually had to go and put some tape on it to make it a little bit more comfortable. Where the Stihl actually has already a pretty comfortable handle because it's smooth on one side, so it's not really digging into your skin. So we would easily have to reward this top handle part to Stihl. Not that big of a difference, but still it does count. All right, so next on the list is easy start. Now, to be honest, Stihl and the Echo both have very easy starts. It takes me 1-2 pulls max to start each one. I do notice there's a little bit less of a drag on the Echo, that it does start a little bit simpler, but not too big of a difference. So for easy start, we're gonna have to actually reward the point to both blowers again. All right, so next on the list is weight. Now the Stihl does have the advantage over the Echo when it comes to weight. According to the specs on their website, the Stihl BR-600 actually has a weight of 21.6 pounds, where the Echo has a weight of 24.3 pounds. So that is kind of a big difference. Like I said, if you're just doing quick, easy jobs where you're only using the blower for maybe max 1-2 minutes, you're honestly not going to notice much of a difference. But we take care of large condo associations where we're actually walking around the whole entire block, 19 homes, and so having that backpack blower on your back for about 20-25 minutes does really add up. And I started to, like I said, I start to kind of notice it in the Echo a little bit more than the Stihl. It does just get on control overall, but that's where I said that Stihl has some pretty comfort padding to where it kind of helps out with that weight. So we're gonna have to reward the point for the weight to Stihl. Alright, so last thing on the pros list is the trigger for the Stihl. Now one thing I have noticed when using these blowers is that the Stihl's trigger is actually a lot bigger compared to the Echo. On the Stihl you're able to place 2 fingers on it, where on the Echo you're only able to place 1 finger on the trigger. And so when using that for long periods of time, your fingers actually start to get worn out. So it's really nice to have that extra room to place another finger just in case, that way you can actually last a lot longer compared to the Echo. So of course for this we would have to reward the point to Stihl. Alright guys, so next we're going to talk about on the list for the pros for the Echo 7070 is, I believe one of the biggest advantages it has over the Stihl is the noise. The noise on the Echo is actually quite low, and I actually talked about this in my last video. It was actually the first thing I noticed with using both blowers. Like I said, with Stihl, even though it has that power that the Echo doesn't, Stihl doesn't also have that noise, the quiet noise that the Echo does. And actually that's becoming quite a big thing nowadays. Don't know the cities. I know there's an Easter city, I think it's in New Jersey or something like that they're actually banning gas-powered blowers, and they're actually trying to, I believe, going to start trying to ban them across the United States. I know that they are starting to work on it in Washington, D.C., and I believe they're actually starting to work on it and probably have already successfully done it in a couple of cities in California. So now this is where the backpack blowers come, because they're starting to offer battery operated blowers, which I'm not too fond of. I hear that they're actually just as loud as the electric, or I'm sorry, as the gas, and they're actually heavier because you're having to carry multiple batteries on top of them. So with that, the noise complaint is starting to get a lot bigger, especially if you're in the city. When we take care of our commercial accounts on the streets, where we're actually around a lot of people, or even in our condo associations where there's constantly people walking around, I always grab my Echo, just because the last thing I want is someone complaining about how loud it is, because they are quite loud, especially if you run them. So having that quiet engine really does help. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of having the Echo compared to the Stihl, though it doesn't have as much power. So we're going to have to reward this point to Echo. Alright, so next on the list for the pros for the Echo is toolless entries to things like the air filter. This is probably one of the greatest benefits on the Echo as well. To get access to your air filter, all you have to do is turn the knobs. And if you guys watch my Echo 7070, I actually spelt the word knobs wrong, so I'll be sure to spell it right this time. But that's one of the greatest benefits. For the Stihl, you actually have to use a tool to get into it. With the spark plugs, luckily, with both, it has just the the rubber coverings over them. You don't need tools to get to that, so that's completely fine. But also to adjust the handle on the Echo 770, you're able to do it with just a nice little knob. Where on the Stihl, you actually have to use some tools. So we're going to have to reward the point to Echo for that. So next on the list is the cooling back vent that the Echo has. This is actually really nice. Like I said, on a hot day like this, I think it's probably about 60, 70 something degrees right now. So it's actually pretty warm outside. Having that vent on your back really does feel good, especially when you're wearing t-shirts out in the sun. And now in the winter time, most likely you're wearing double layer jackets or pretty thick jackets, so you don't really tell too much of that airflow on your back. But in a hot, in the hot weather like this, it's really nice to have that cold air just breathing down your back so it's not getting all sweaty. So definitely have to reward the point to Echo for this, because Stihl just does not have anything like that. They just have another pad on your back where it eventually starts to get sweaty over time. So like I said, point Echo. So next on the list is easy to see gas tank. Now this is something that we were talking about. We'll actually talk about later, of course, in the cons for the Stihl. But this is one of the another benefit that Echo has over the Stihl, is that the tank is very easy to see. It's very easy to see the level of how much gas you have left in the tank. Where the Stihl, it's kind of hidden, so you can't really see it as much. Also, I do believe that Echo actually has a bigger fuel tank than what Stihl does. And fuel capacity for the BR-600 is 47.3 ounces. Where on the Echo it's 68.3 ounces. So definitely a good size difference right there. And of course, when you're doing large properties, the last thing you want to do is have to go through a lot of fuel and having to go back to the truck and fill up again. So it's nice to have a little bit bigger of a fuel tank. Now when it comes to which one does better with fuel, I do believe that the Echo, there are some videos I've seen where they actually compare the Stihl and Echo, the fuel to each other, and it does seem like the Echo lasts a little bit longer. I don't notice too much of a difference. They say that Echo is a gas hog. Not too sure. Like I said, we'll have to keep a better eye on that, so we'll have to do that in another video later on. But of course, leave a comment down below of which one you think is better when it comes to fuel economy. But when it comes to fuel size and visible fuel in the fuel tank, we will have to reward the point to Echo for this one. Alright, so next on the pros list for the Echo is the throttle control. Now, we have this one, with the Echo, there's this throttle where you can just move it up or down to adjust the speed, where on the Stihl, it's a little bit harder. What you have to do is you have to find the right speed that you want it, and then you click it into a locking position. Now, we'll cover this, of course, in the cons for the Stihl, but for the Echo, what's nice about this is it seems like you have a little bit more control over the throttle control when it comes to that with the power. So if you want a lower setting, you just simply scroll it down to whatever low setting you want. And actually we found out this works pretty well when doing leaf removal and stuff where you're in beds where you don't want things blown out into the grass. To have that nice little lower speed really comes in handy. So when it comes to throttle control, I would have to reward this one to Echo. Alright, so next we're going to talk about the Stihl BR-600 cons. Now, like I said, I do have a little bit longer of a list compared to the Echo, just because I've used it longer, but then again, I just seem to find way more cons for the Stihl than the Echo does. So first on the list that we're going to talk about is hard to see gas can. Now we talked about this in the pros for the Echo, but what stinks about the Stihl is that it's very hard to see how much fuel you have left in the tank just because of the way it's designed. Also, one of the biggest things I found is that when filling up the tank, you actually have to tip the BR-600 on its side to get more fuel. If you leave it leveled, you're actually not getting a complete full fuel tank. Where the Echo, it's actually more revealed where you can completely see it. You have to tip it maybe just a little bit, if not even that. So definitely one of the cons for the Stihl is fueling in the fuel tank. So next on the cons list, we already talked about this on the Echo Pros, is the noise that the Stihl BR-600 has. Like I said, though it has a lot of power, the noise is just really what brings it down. And especially if you're living in a city or a place where they're trying to start banning gas-powered, backpack blowers and all that kind of stuff, you really don't, a lot of it has to do with the emissions, but I think a lot of it has to do with the sound as well. And so this is something that I think Stihl hopefully needs to kind of fix soon to compete with Echo when it comes to noise, just because that's a real big drawback. So of course the next thing on the list is you need tools to do a lot of the stuff for the BR-600s. Like I said, this was one of the pros for the Echo, but just simply adjusting the handle on the BR-600, simply getting access to the air filter, because if you don't have your tools, if you need to really quickly get to it because you've been blowing in the dust all day and you just need to kind of empty it out or something like that, it stinks that you always have to have a tool or you have to go back to the trailer to do it, where with the Echo you don't have to do that. So definitely one of the cons for the Stihl BR-600. So next on the list is actually the throttle lock on the Stihl. This is one thing I don't like about it. Like I said, we talked about this with the Echo, but when you're pulling, you know, say you're pulling the trigger and you're going at a certain RPM and you wanted to keep it at that, well, what you have to do is you have to simply click this like little lever up and it locks it into place. Now what happens is that when you click it down to get it out of that lock position, sometimes you actually can go too far and it will shut it off. If I can remember, I'm not sure if you can simply just pull the trigger and it'll take it out of the lock position. I forgot, I have to do it real quick. But if you don't, the only way is to click it back down, and sometimes if you do it too much, you will actually shut off the blower. So now we're going to talk about the cons list for the Echo 770. If you guys watched our Echo review video, in the video we talked about how there was only like 3 things that we had that we didn't really like about it that were kind of cons, but they weren't really big things. Like I said, the first thing is the uncomfortable handle. Like I said, all we simply had to do was put tape on it. It was comfortable, but that's pretty an easy, simple thing to fix, but still it does count. The next thing on the list that we have is the weight. We talked about this earlier. The weight of the Stihl BR-600 is 21.6 pounds, where the Echo is only 24.3, and then with Echo having a bigger fuel tank on top of that, you're adding more weight to that as well. Like I said, if you're doing simple, short, small yards, you don't really notice it too much, but when you're starting to do large condos where you're using the blowers for a long period of time, you really start to feel it in your shoulders and in your back. So definitely one of the cons, both cons for the Echo 770. Alright guys, so that is the pros and cons for the Stihl BR-600 and the Echo 770. A couple numbers I want to run by you guys, of course. These are numbers that are on their websites. The max airspeed for the Stihl is 238, where the Echo is 234. So of course you can notice a little bit of a difference right there. When it comes to fuel efficiency, like we talked about, honestly I haven't noticed too much of a difference, and it's kind of hard for me to figure it out. Because like I said, with Echo having a bigger fuel tank, it seems like Echo lasts a lot longer when it comes to fuel, but then again the BR-600 is running a bigger engine and, you know, probably a higher speed, so it's using more fuel at the same time. So like I said, if whatever you guys think is, you know, is better fuel efficient, leave it in a comment below. Adding up all of our numbers, it looks like the winner that we have with the points that rewarded is the Echo PB-770T. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Another couple things I want to run by is the price. A lot of people always wonder about the price. Now on Echo's website, the price starts at $499.99, and I believe it's the same price for Stihl. Those prices could change depending on your dealer. When we bought our BR-600 brand new, they actually gave us $25 off since we're a company, a commercial guy. So we actually got it for $475, and I believe Echo does the same thing. Possibly could be a little bit more cheaper than that. All the other specs, like I said, that we didn't go over are going to be down below in the description box, so be sure to check that out. But really briefly, if I can, you know, talk about what the biggest pros and cons for each one. Like I said, if you're looking for something quiet with just as good as power, go with the Echo. But if you're looking for a lot of power and you don't care about the noise, that's where the BR-600 comes from. Me personally, if I were to choose which blower, to be honest, I can't. I honestly love both blowers, and I'm actually very happy to have both with me because I'm able to use both of them. You know, I use the BR-600 when it's wet outside and I need that extra power, and then I use the Echo when we're on the streets or in our condo association where it can't be as loud. So like I said, it's just awesome to have both blowers. So, and of course we don't have the Red Max in it. Like I said, if you guys want to do we'll do a review later. We have to ask Red Max to send us one, but we'll see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully we went over everything. If we didn't, leave a description box, or I'm sorry, leave a comment in the comments down below. I'm gonna leave a comment myself asking which one you guys like and some things that we missed, so be sure to check that out. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, share, whatever you want, and we will see you guys next time on Ambro's Landscaping. We are reaching for the stars, but